The sun's come out, so I decided to take a walk. It's December, and walking makes one think. About a month ago, a little more, I uploaded a video that I shot, comparison between the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon and the Land Rover Defender 110. And within 10 days, we had received 100,000 views. That's actually a record for my YouTube channel. And I've been reading the comments. I've read every single one of them. And a very, very mixed bag. But inspiring. Really inspiring. I think people have really enjoyed the comparison, the way I've done it, by and large. I have had some, very few, just kind of dismiss it out of hand, and that's okay. But by the vast majority have enjoyed the way I've done it. A lot of the Jeep fanatics have dismissed the Land Rover as not really being comparable to the Jeep. I think that perhaps if you did that, you probably don't know that much about. I'm guessing here that you don't know too much about Land Rovers, because the markets that I am very familiar with, United States, Australia, and not the United States, Australia, UK, and South Africa. The Jeep and the Land Rover Defender are bought by the same kind of people doing similar things. Not the same, but similar things. So as far as I'm concerned, they're very comparable. But other comments that have come from, again, I think more Jeep fans than Land Rover fans have commented. And some of them are very apt. One of them, well, this has been a theme almost. Why didn't you use the Jeep's lockers? If it has lockers, then use the lockers. And that's a fair point, because I did use the sway bar disconnects that the Land Rover doesn't have either. It also doesn't have axle lockers. So the question is, well, okay, why didn't I use the lockers in the Jeep? Well, my approach is, A, I've got to make it fair, and B, I've got to make it interesting, both. Okay, so when you get into an off-road situation, you select you use the tools with which the vehicle is equipped to increase traction, yes? So the first thing you do with the Land Rover is you lock the center differential. The equivalent in the Jeep part-time four-wheel drive is to engage four-wheel drive. That's step one. Step two is you feel the traction control working when the wheels start slipping. So now with those two vehicles, we could compare the two. If I had gone and locked the Jeep's lockable axles, you know as well as I do, it would have just outperformed the Land Rover. So if you're, and I think I got this kind of gist from a lot of the Jeep fans, is that you would really have preferred it to humiliate the Land Rover. Now let's be honest, lockers, generally speaking, in most situations are going to outperform traction control. Not all situations, but definitely most. So if I had locked the Jeep's axles, he would have just stomped all over the Land Rover. And where's the entertainment in that? Where is the education? Where is the learning by not locking them? I think that it was a really interesting comparison to see which one's traction control works better, which wheels gripped better because of the suspension. That's why I allowed the use of the sway bar disconnect, which is not available on the Land Rover and available on the Jeep. Because now, without those lockers, just the traction control, you could see from the video which axles gripped better. And the sway bar disconnect, without question, gave the Jeep the advantage. But so you're not wrong in suggesting that I lock them, but also I think that would have taken away some of the education and certainly some of the interest. I believe that what I did is I kept it fair, and in doing so kept it interesting. Okay, so now from all those comments, what did I get? You like it? Great, which means I'm going to do more. While I shot that video, I also shot a lot of material on my personal, my personal review of the Jeep, having not a lot of experience with the Jeep, but I'm not going to put it online yet. The reason being is because that one experience with the Jeep is not enough for me. I mean, I loved it. I really loved that vehicle. I can say that to you now. But I need more than that to do a review. Just to say, I love it. I need to be specific. I need to find some parts about it that I don't like. The parts about it that I absolutely love. And there are a few bits in that video comparison with like the hill descent control going down. Wow. I've never driven a vehicle with such amazingly set up hill descent control. But I need more than that for the review. So I'll be doing that. But in terms of comparisons, how about this? And I'd like you to comment on this video on these two ideas that I've set up for 2016, fairly early in the year, doing two more comparisons with that same Jeep Wrangler Rubicon model. One is to compare it with the Toyota Land Cruiser 76 wagon. That's the shorter of the three-wheel wheelbase similar to the Jeep Rubicon. Again, 5-door, similar application, professional four-wheel drive, really tough, very, very good off-road vehicles. And I'll be making that comparison, but I'll be using the lockers. Why? Because the Land Rover, Land Cruiser 76 also has axle lockers. Not all models have axle lockers on the 76, but most do in many countries. So the one I'll be testing does have axle differential locks. So now I'm comparing apples with apples. These two vehicles, the Land Cruiser doesn't have sway bar disconnects. Does it have the wheel travel of the Jeep? No, don't think so. I know that 76 quite well. How will it perform? I think that'll be a really interesting comparison. Again, I'm really going to work very, very hard not to be biased. Yes, I'm English, but please don't accuse me of liking English cars just because I'm English. That's got nothing to do with it. I'm interested in the vehicles and what they can do, what they can perform, how they perform. I'm not interested in brands. You're immediately going to say, Andrew, you're a big Toyota man. Yes, my own vehicle is a Toyota Land Cruiser. Yes, it is. It has weaknesses, and I'm there as a Toyota fan. I really enjoy Toyotas, particularly the Land Cruisers. They've got some problems. They're not perfect, and I'm not besmitten by this brand Toyota. I'm besmitten by what that vehicle gives me. Okay, so if the Jeep outperforms the Land Cruiser, you're going to see it. I'm not trying to prove anything here. I'm doing this for interest's sake. But here's another idea. And I think this might even be even more interesting. How about a Toyota FJ Cruiser and compare that with the Wrangler Rubicon? Now, again, should I lock the Rubicon's axles in that situation? No, I'm not going to. And I'll tell you why. Because if I don't lock them, then I'm comparing the traction control systems, and I'm comparing the fact that one has solid axles back and front, the Jeep, and one has independent front suspension. Now, with them not locked, with just using the vehicle's axle articulation and inboard stuff, we can see a great comparison on how these vehicles work in the rough. Yes, we all know that added axle locker will give the Jeep an added advantage. You can add axle lockers to an FJ Cruiser as aftermarket. The one that I've got hold of doesn't have, as far as I know, axle lockers. But won't that be interesting? I mean, these two, particularly for the US market, you guys love the FJ Cruiser. I drove the FJ Cruiser about 2 years ago over the dunes. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But it was quite heavily modified. It had lift and a bit more power, and what a great car. What a lovely car. I loved that vehicle. So that compared with the Rubicon, wow, I think that's going to be amazing. So I would really like your opinion on those two comparative tests that I am proposing for early 2016. Thank you for watching.